Let's continue looking at the infinitive constructs for guttural and weak letters. In this clip, we're going to be focusing on the imot kriya, the cases where in a shoresh I have a letter that serves as a vowel or that is silent. Specifically ayin vav, ayin yud, and lamed hey. In the last clip, we looked at what happens when there's a guttural in the first or the last letter of a shoresh. Now I want to just briefly mention what happens when I have a vav in the middle of a shoresh or a yud in the middle of the shoresh, which we call ayin vav and ayin yud. Last semester you saw when I have an ayin vav or an ayin yud shoresh and I add an eitan prefix before it, let's say a taf or let's say a yud, it becomes just takum, yashir, right? So it's no surprise that here I could take the same exact formula. It becomes lakum and lashir. There's no change to the actual shoresh. And it's the same thing that you learned last semester in terms of the vowels, the kamats, under your prefix. So now we can grow our chart even more. So we go beyond just the gutturals. And now we can look at ayin vav and ayin yud, right? You could see lavo, lashir, lakum, ladin, lashuv, right? Everything stays the same with the shoresh. I just add that la before it, similar to what I had for future tense, ya, ta, etc. What happens when I have a hey as the last letter of my shoresh? Let's take an example like bana. In bana, you hear that the hey is absolutely silent. It's not functioning as a guttural. It's not functioning as a consonant. It's functioning as a vowel. It's an aim kriya. As such, it does not want to take on any sound. So if I try to throw on my lamed beforehand and plug in the lich tov pattern, live no, you see that I have to make that hey sound at the end. So there's going to be a tendency for this hey to want to turn into something else. And I once had a student who saw a chart of all the infinitives and how they change and transform, and he noticed something funny. I know biblical Hebrew and funny, sometimes do agree. And he noticed that the hay sound, right, like animals eat hay, gets replaced with an oat, because animals eat oats. So it becomes, instead of live no, it becomes live note. Okay, so this hay becomes an oat. Similarly, a shoresh like resh aleph hey, when I throw on my lamed, is going to get changed to lir oat. So you see my hey oat connection, and the nikudot of the first two nikudot are going to follow like the lich tov pattern. Even the cholam officially does. Okay, so that's what I have there. Here's a challenging one. How about a shoresh like Allah? So I throw on my lamed, and my hey turns into an oat. Okay, can I do like a lich tov pattern? No, I have a guttural, so it becomes la, a, right? My chataf patach, that's a chataf patach, la alot. So I have a double exception. I have a hey oat connection, and I have my guttural wanting its patach, chataf patach. Here I have a continuation of the chart that I'm growing, and it's a lamed hey. So when there's a hey as the last letter of the shoresh, look, I have the hey oat connection, lir oat, live note. My shoresh resh aleph hey, right, is replaced by an oat. Bet nun hey, oat. La asot, la alot, I have a double exception because I have an ayin as the first letter of my shoresh, and then I have a hey at the end. So I'm going to get those patachs, chataf patach. I'm going to get the ot, okay? And that concludes this clip about what happens when I have an aim kriya in a shoresh.